Hi, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, Christmas is coming. I've got my Christmas t-shirt on, got my hat back on, and the reason why I'm back here is that I want to do a taste test on Stollen. Now, if you're not familiar with Stollen, well, you should be, because it's becoming really popular. So popular, in fact, that in the UK, all of the supermarkets produce their own version of Stollen. So alongside the mince pies at Christmas time, you will now find Stollen in various forms. Now, Stollen, the history of it, it's a German fruit bread that's basically enriched with either marzipan or icing sugar, or sometimes in the UK, it's enriched with alcohol, so you might have brandy or something like that. And it dates back to 1474, when it originated in Dresden, one of the cities in Germany, and it became a ceremonial gift. So kings and people like that used to be given Stollen, so it's seen as being a sort of luxurious, rich thing to enjoy at your leisure. So over the last 10 years or so, it's become more and more popular in the UK, and I'm going to do a taste test today on all of the different supermarkets that I've managed to find Stollen at. I did go to the Co-op, but they didn't have any in, so apologies if you're a fan of the Co-op that I couldn't find the Stollen. Now, it ranges in price, so I've got a layout here of the 8 different supermarkets, going from cheapest on this side through to the most expensive on this side. So we'll just run through that. So we've got Aldi here, which came in at £2.99, and these are Stollen bites. So I tried to get Stollen slices everywhere, but they didn't have them in Aldi, so I had to get Stollen bites, and they'd also sold out of the normal ones, so these are apple Stollen bites. Lidl, also £2.99. They're also Stollen bites. They didn't have any slices. This was it. Quite heavy, that. I mean, a lot of weight in that. We'll talk about that in a moment. So they're both £2.99. The next one is Waitrose, interestingly. It's the third cheapest. That came in at £3.30 for a pack of 6 slices. Next up is Morrisons, the best range, which was £3.75. Then we've got Asda, which interestingly is in the top half today. When I did the mince pie taste test, Asda was the cheapest, but it's the fifth from bottom here today. This was £3.86. Sainsbury's and M&S both came in at £4. And then the most expensive one, interestingly, which is a surprise to me, was Tesco's. Now, it is Tesco's Finest, and Finest is the sort of cream of the crop at Tesco, so you do pay a little bit more for the Finest, but I'm surprised that at £4.25, it was the most expensive out of all of the supermarkets. Now, you'd be glad to know I've got some water today, because when I did the mince pie test, I got told off by a lot of people for saying, oh, he's not cleansing his palate after each taste. So what I'm looking to do today is really just to go through these, taste them, tell you what I think of them, and then to rank them to see which one is the best. So let's get started. So we'll start in price order. We'll go for, I mean, these two are the same price, but I'm going to open the Aldi one first. These apple Stollen bites. So get quite a lot in here. How many's in there? Probably, was that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think, in there. They're sort of small parcels. Lots of icing sugar on the top. You can see some of the fruit poking through. Quite weighty and reasonably heavy. So it feels like a sort of quite a luxurious bake. So let's have a taste of what this is like. Meant to read the spiel. The box says, small sweetbread studded with dried fruit and apple filling. So it does taste of apple, taste of fruit. Let me have another bite. So they're very pastry heavy. So this is like a Danish pastry, but much heavier in terms of the pastry is probably similar to a Danish pastry, but the filling is a lot more stodgy, so it feels a bit more weighty. The fruit is quite dense, so this is like raisins and sultanas and some apple paste in here. Sweet, as you would imagine. It's a sweet treat. It does taste of apple. Not bad, actually, quite nice. I mean, with a cup of tea, that would be perfect. So far, it's top of the list because I've only tasted one. Okay, let's have a look at the Lidl version. This says Marzipan Stollen bites. Classic, with marzipan from EU and non-EU wheat flour from EU. Non-EU wheat flour from EU? That's a bit of a riddle. There looks like there's a lot more in this. Does it say the weight on the... See if I can see if there's a weight on here. Yeah, 300 grams you get from Aldi. How much do you get from... You get 350 from Lidl, so you're getting another 50 grams extra. Oh, they're a different sort of shape. So they're more tubular rather than they were square. And there's a lot of them. Not counting them, but there's quite a lot of them. I would guess there's about 20 in there. And these feel heavy compared to those ones. Lots of icing sugar on the top. Okay. So, this tastes, there's more bread than fruit in this one. There was quite a lot of fruit in the Aldi one. In the little one, it tastes more like, almost like a soft biscuit, like a dough that hasn't quite been cooked enough as a biscuit. There's some fruit in there. The predominant flavour is marzipan. So we know what marzipan tastes like, sort of almond paste, sweet almond paste. That's what this tastes like. Mostly like it tastes like a marzipan biscuit that's a bit soft. So far, I'm putting that one to the bottom. So Aldi has remained at the top of the shop. Still number one, Lidl at number two. Quite nice. I definitely prefer this one. If I was going to eat 2 or 3 of these, I would definitely want to eat the Aldi ones. The little ones just feels a bit stodgy and a bit heavy. Now, it was interesting because I was told by somebody before I did this test that the German supermarkets, obviously Aldi and Lidl are German, will be the best because these things originated in Germany. But let's see whether or not that's true. So Waitrose, let's see what they're like. So Waitrose are renowned for sort of nice upmarket things, sort of thing that you treat yourself to at Christmas. See what it says on the box. 6 Stollen slices made with vine fruits, marzipan and rum butter, finished with a sweet dusting. So, sounds good. The weight in this is not on the back of the box, by the looks of it. Can't see any weight on that. No weight on this one. I could weigh it myself, but I haven't got any weighing scales, so I can't tell you. Now, in terms of, it's a lot less weight than those two. I would guess this is 200 grams, maybe. Anyway, let's get one out. So these are nicely sealed up. Quite small. You only get 6 of them. I mean, they're bigger than the individual ones from the other 2 supermarkets, but you only get 6. Now, if you look at the cross-section on this, there's a lot more fruit than both of those. They are predominantly pastry. This looks like it's predominantly fruit. It feels a bit wet in the hand. They were dry, and it feels quite heavy. That tastes very different to those two. It has got an overriding flavour of marzipan still, but it's got this rum butter in there. The pastry looks a bit more flaky. There's a lot more fruit. It's a lot more succulent. It's wetter. It doesn't taste mostly of pastry. It tastes mostly of fruit and paste. And there is an overriding rum flavour, actually. The more you have it, you can definitely taste that rum. And to me, that's sort of the taste of Christmas. If you have Christmas pudding, those sort of things, Christmas cake, tends to be infused with alcohol. So that's maybe a UK version of what these, what this might be. These German ones might be closer to what Stollen was originally in Germany back in Dresden. This is probably more in line with the taste of Christmas from the UK. So I have to say I like that. So it's going straight to the top of the charts. So far we've got Waitrose at number 1, Aldi at number 2, Lidl at number 3. Okay, let's move on to Morrisons. Now, when I went to Morrisons, they didn't have any normal ones. They only had this version, which are cranberry and clementine. Clementine's like an orange satsuma, easy peeler, whatever you want to call it. So this says hand-finished 6 cranberry and clementine Stollen slices, infused with amaretto, which is sort of almond liqueur. And it says, with juicy cranberries, zesty orange, and a marzipan filling, finished with a dusting of sweet snow. That's quite nice, isn't it? Okay, so there's 6 in here. Does this say the weight on it? Nope. Feels about the same as the Waitrose one, so not as much as the 2 German supermarkets. Looks similar to the Waitrose one in terms of size and the portions that you're getting here. Let's see whether it tastes like the Waitrose one or not. So if you look at the cross section on this, it looks more like a fruit cake. So it just looks like a cake actually. There's a lot of fruit in it, quite heavy, feels wet like the Waitrose one. So similar sort of style and design to Waitrose. Let's see what it tastes like. So the whole thing's a bit more pasty. That doesn't take, you can't really taste dry pastry at all in that. These two definitely. This one was similar to this. It feels more like a Christmas cake, a sort of fruit cake, very dense fruit cake. A lot of fruit in it. It's quite tasty. And you can definitely taste the cranberry and the orange in this. I have to say, that lifts it a little. The amaretto, it has got an overriding almondy flavour with a little bit of alcohol infused as well, similar to the Waitrose one. So again, I would associate this sort of thing as the taste of Christmas in the UK. Really good. I'm putting Morrisons at the top. So far we've got Morrisons number 1, Waitrose number 2, Aldi number 3, and Lidl at the back. Now, I said I'd brought the water to clean my palate. I haven't been doing that, so apologies to anybody who's raging about that right now. No doubt you're writing all the comments, but I forgot because I was enjoying myself so much. Okay, I've cleansed the palate now. Let's go for the Asda version. So this is the exceptional range at Asda. Rich and warming 6 Stollen slices, filled with sultanas and citrus peel. Any weight on the box? No. Similar sort of weight to those. The last two. Let's see what they look like. So it looks pretty similar to the last ones, maybe a bit thicker, maybe a bit wider. Let's get the one out that's got all the dusting on the end. Try and get one of the best ones. Okay. So this is very wet. Oh, it's almost a bit slimy. Feels really wet actually. It's very different to those ones. So feels like it's almost a bit sweaty. It's sort of like there's moisture coming out of it. If we look at the cross section of it, it's got a lot of fruit in it, and it looks like a sort of not quite baked cake. So if you took your cake out a little bit early, your fruit cake, it'd probably look a bit like this, that it hadn't dried out enough. It was still holding a lot of moisture, but it looks quite nice. It's not as heavy as those ones. Smells, yeah, it smells a bit fruity. Interestingly, even though it feels wet on the outside, it's quite dry on the inside. I don't think that works. It's too dry. The fruit isn't really blending in with it. I'm not sure what the overriding taste is, but not too good. Don't like that. Unfortunately, Asda, you're going right to the bottom of the list. Lidl, you're off the bottom. So Lidl has managed to get off the bottom. Oh, Asda's gone straight down, which is a bit of a surprise because when I did the mince pie taste test, Asda won that. And it's the same range. It's come from the exceptional range. They've just not got it right on the Stollen. That is not good. Now, I'm definitely going to have some more. I've got a serviette. Let me get a serviette. Got my Christmas serviette. It's got nice holly and berries on there. That's not good at all. I wouldn't buy the Asda Stollen. Don't waste your money when there's other versions that are cheaper and nicer. Okay, let's move into the £4 plus range. So this is quite a lot more expensive. When you think the two German ones were £2.99, and the Morrisons, the Waitrose one was £3.30, and the Morrisons one was £3.75. So we're stepping up into £4. I'm expecting a lot for £4. So this is in the Taste the Difference range from Sainsbury's, which is their premium brand. 6 Stollen slices, buttery and fragrantly spiced, packed with plump sultanas and rich marzipan, finished with a brandy. Well, there we are. Let's see. Oh, it does have a weight on here. It says 200 grams, which is a lot less than you get from the German supermarkets. I think this feels similar to the other ones, so probably about 200, I would guess. Okay, let's look at these. Now, they're quite thin compared to some of the other ones. Actually, probably about the same. They're all similar size. It's all about the taste, really, isn't it? Let's get one out. See how it fares. Okay, so this is it. It smells quite doughy. There is lots of fruit in there, but you can't really see it. It sort of looks a bit masked. It feels like it's sagging. It feels like if I held that for a long time, it would actually break. I think it probably would. It's starting to break. It's definitely starting to break. So it feels a bit heavier, doesn't hold its own weight, the same as the other ones. Let's taste it. Taste the difference. Can I taste the difference from Sainsbury's? It tastes a little bit like an uncooked cake. So, have you ever had a cake round at your auntie's house or your nan's house or something, and they haven't kept it in the oven long enough, and so it's like doughy and hasn't dried out enough? That's what it tastes like. So, rather than tasting sort of rich and indulgent, it just tastes a bit undercooked and not worth the calories, I would say. If you're going to have just a nice Christmas treat or, something sweet, I want something that's going to blow my socks off where you go, wow, that's lovely. I might treat myself to another one. That, not worth it. Is it worse than the Asda one? I'll have to have a little taste of the Asda one just to see. I mean, the Asda one's dry. The Asda one tastes a bit like if your nan overcooked her cake, left it in the oven a bit too long. So say, the Asda one's better than that one. Sainsbury's, you're going right to the bottom of the list. You're the most expensive so far and the worst. So the two most expensive out of the ones I've opened so far are sitting at the bottom in reverse order. Most expensive, second most expensive. More water for the people who are keeping a check on whether I'm having any water. Okay, here's the other one that's priced at £4. Marks & Spencer. Marks & Spencer collection, 6 Stollen slices with plump, rum-soaked vine fruits and soft marzipan. Nice simple description. Now that Marks & Spencer mince pies didn't do that well, so let's see whether the Stollen is any better. Now this feels very, very heavy. I don't know if there's a weight on here. Now 200 grams, it's the same as the other ones, but it just feels really wet. So that feels really wet and slimy. I mean, if you went to somebody's house and they gave you this, you would definitely need some sort of napkin or serviette because it's going to make your finger. I mean, you can see here I've got stuff sticking to me already. Really sticky. Feels a bit slimy. Again, feels like it hasn't properly been cooked. I mean, I haven't eaten it yet, but that's the sort of vibe it's giving me. And when you look at the cross section of it, it's really wet and it really doesn't look like it's cooked. Now, maybe that's a marzipan paste. I'll reserve judgment until I've eaten it, but first impressions, not that great. Okay. Definitely better than Sainsbury's. Definitely better than Asda. Quite wet. The bit in the middle is like a marzipan paste. It's almost like it's had a filling put through the middle. But it's so messy. So messy to eat. I'm absolutely covered in it. All my fingers that have touched it are now all covered in goo. No. I mean, how are you meant to eat that? You'd be better off eating that with a spoon. I mean, that'd be okay with a bit of custard on it, but not as a finger food treat that you'd have around somebody's house. So the three most expensive, I think, are the three worst here. But it is better than those two. I'll come back and do a double check, but I will put Marks & Spencer's third from bottom. So, we've only got one left. The most expensive one. The only one that is priced above £4. Sorry about this, but I've got so much stuff all over my fingers from those Marks & Spencer ones. I definitely wouldn't recommend buying those because they're just such a mess. Yeah, the only ones that are priced above £4. £4.25 for Tesco Finest. 6 Stollen slices infused with warming Jamaican rum. Getting a bit of taste of Jamaica at Christmas. Okay, let's see what these are like. So they're quite nicely presented. Have this one at the end. So it's got a good amount of icing sugar on it. Let's see. what this is like. Okay, so it's definitely holding together quite well. It does look a little bit like raw dough, though. It has a similar look to these three over here. Maybe it'll taste really great. That's not bad, actually. You can definitely taste the rum. Without, I would doubt they're alcoholic, so I think the rum's probably had the alcohol has disappeared from it. But you get that taste, that flavour, which again reminds you of the sort of Christmassy, Christmas cake, Christmas pudding type flavour. Quite a lot of fruit in that. Even though it's quite wet on the outside, the pastry does hold together quite well. Pretty tasty, quite good. So, I think I will move that to third place initially, but I'm now going to do a quick retaste of everything just to see which one is the winner. These, I feel, are definitely the strongest contenders. These are definitely the weakest. These two, sort of slightly different flavour. Let me just run through from the bottom to the top. So let's retaste the Sainsbury's one. Wet, heavy. Oh, there's an overriding taste on that one that I really don't like. It says it's got buttery, frangipan spiced, packed with punch. Trying to see what the flavour is on there that's really not that nice. Buttery and fragrantly spiced, packed with plump sultanas and rich marzipan, finished with brandy. I think it's probably the brandy. It's just not a very nice aftertaste. Let's have a go at the Asda. Dry. Not particularly tasty. No, don't like that. Asda, you go bottom. I think the Sainsbury's one's nicer than the Asda one. Right, I've got to touch this Marks and Spencer one again, which is so messy, really gooey. Bit soggy. That can go second bottom. I think Sainsbury's one is nicer than that. Okay, back to the two German versions. Let's look at Lidl. This is the one where you get a lot in the pack. But there's not much fruit in it. It's quite dry. Nah, it just tastes of marzipan. I don't like that. That can go third bottom. Let's see what the Aldi one's like. Slightly different. Looks a bit more like a pasty. Dry. Really dry. Not much fruit in that either. I can go fourth. Right, I need to have another drink. That's the apple one. That was just, you can taste the apple, but too dry. These two German ones, too dry. If you like dry pastry, then maybe you'd like it. Okay, Tesco's Finest. It's currently sitting at number 3. Is it going to finish above the Sainsbury's one? Tesco, Sainsbury's, quite big rivals. Now it's wet. It does taste a bit undercooked. But it doesn't have the same brandy aftertaste that these Sainsbury's ones have. I don't really like that. Tesco will definitely stay ahead of Sainsbury's. So these 5 are definitely staying where they are. It's now between these 3 as to who's going to win. So just tasted the Tesco one. Let's taste the Waitrose one. That's nice. That's got a good combination of pastry that's dry and wet filling. So it's a little bit like, if you ever had a bear's claw Danish pastry, or a Danish pastry that's got a lot of filling in it. Really quite a nice combination of the sort of succulent wet fruit and slightly dry pastry and an overriding Christmassy marzipan flavour. It's really good. So that one's definitely better than the Tesco one. So it's really between these two to see who's going to win, unless I relegate Morrisons to the bottom of the league after having a retaste. Now let's not forget, this is the special Morrisons one that is cranberry and clementine. So it has got a slight advantage that it doesn't taste exactly the same as the other ones. So that's softer than the Waitrose one. It's better than the ones that taste a bit uncooked, but it's got that sort of flavour. It's quite soft. It almost feels like it needed another couple of minutes in the oven. But it's a good combination of the fruit and the pastry. So I think the Waitrose one is definitely better than that. Let me just have a little taste of the Tesco one to see whether or not Morrison's is better than Tesco's. The final piece of the Morrison's one. They're pretty similar. I would say they're similar in terms of consistency, flavour, weight. But overall, I think I prefer the Morrison's one. So, let's just recap on where we were. These are the Stollen slices from 8 of the biggest supermarkets in the UK. They had a range of prices. And we'll just go through in reverse order. So, right at the bottom are the ones produced by Asda. I wouldn't waste your money on this. They're coming in relatively expensive, £3.86 I paid for this. The mince pies are good, the Stollen slices, no. Marks & Spencer, £4 for this packet. These are so messy. Okay if you wanted to have it with some custard, but if you're having that off a plate and giving it to people in your house, I wouldn't bother. And also the overriding flavour, not that great. The two coming from the German supermarkets, both priced at £2.99, so they're the cheapest. You get a lot more in terms of weight. They're very heavy. 300, 350 grams, so you're getting a lot of good value for money. But it's pretty dry, quite boring, not particularly tasty, not worth the calories. If you're going to have a treat, have a good treat, have something that is really nice. Don't bother having something just for the sake of it and then thinking, that didn't taste that great. And I think both of these fall into that category. So my assessment is these four I would definitely not buy. I don't recommend going to Marks & Spencer, Marks & Spencer, Asda, Lidl or Aldi. Then on to the second half of the equation. So we've got the Taste the Difference from Sainsbury's. They're pretty good, not too bad. They're coming in at £4. £4.25, the most expensive ones from Tesco's. They're pretty good, they're quite nice. I would definitely buy them, they're nice. However, you can get cheaper alternatives that are better in my opinion. So Morrisons are selling theirs for £3.75, so 50 pence cheaper than Tesco's. I think it's nicer. It's a similar sort of taste and flavour and consistency. So definitely a better deal. But the best deal on the high street, in my view, at the moment, is Waitrose, only £3.30. Surprisingly, Waitrose have come in at the cheaper end of the spectrum, which I was quite shocked by. These are the nicest ones. They've got a really nice combination of slightly dry pastry, lots of filling, really tasty, just filled with Christmassy goodness. So that's my recommendation out of these 8 that I've tested from the supermarket. Waitrose, £3.30. It's the best deal. It's the nicest tasting. I would definitely recommend buying these over any of the other ones here. Thank you for watching this video all the way through to the end. Really appreciate your support. If you haven't done so already, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I meant to say that at the start of the video, but I forgot. So if you're still watching, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you again on the next video.